The neuroplastic revolution, when humans began rewiring themselves. Soft electronic music hums in the background. The camera pans over a glowing skyline, drones weaving between towers, holograms lighting up the night, and a serene narrator's voice begins to speak. In the year 2087, the human brain was no longer just a biological organ, it was the new frontier of design. They called it the Neuroplastic Revolution. For centuries, scientists had whispered about the brain's ability to rewire itself, but now it was no longer a whisper. It was the heartbeat of an era where neuroplasticity wasn't just a concept but a technology, a lifestyle, a new way of being human. The beginning of the revolution. It all started with a young neuroscientist named Dr. Lyra Chen. Lyra grew up watching her father fade away, not from disease, but from regret. He often said, "I wish I'd learned the guitar. I wish I'd learned to forgive." He believed his brain was too old to change. When he passed, Lyra made a silent promise. She would dedicate her life to proving that no brain was ever too old, too damaged, or too rigid to learn again. Fast forward 30 years, Lyra led the Neural Genesis Project, a global initiative combining neuroscience, AI, and nanotechnology to enhance natural neuroplasticity in humans. The first human trial in a sleek white laboratory, the first human volunteers lay in meditation pods, a fusion of neural scanners, sensory VR immersion, and micro-nanotransmitters. The process was called Neuroforge. It didn't implant chips or override memories. It simply created the perfect environment for the brain to reconnect, to repair, and to reimagine itself. The results were beyond belief. A 70-year-old pianist who hadn't played in decades suddenly performed Chopin flawlessly after just 10 sessions. A stroke survivor regained full speech and mobility. And one young woman, born blind, began to describe visual impressions, color, light, and form, through reactivated dormant pathways. The world called it a miracle. Lyra called it biology meeting belief. The age of rewiring soon, Neuroforge clinics spread across continents. People came to relearn, recover, reprogram, and rediscover themselves. Addiction centers began using personalized neuroplastic conditioning to undo years of dependency. Veterans rebuilt calm neural maps, learning peace where trauma once lived. Artists enhanced creativity by expanding new cortical pathways. But with great power came a question that echoed in every mind. If we can change who we are, where do we stop being ourselves? The ethics divider movement emerged, the fixed mind collective. They believed the beauty of humanity lay in its imperfection, its natural limits, its struggle to adapt. Opposing them was the plasticists, led by Lyra herself. Those who believed human potential had no ceiling. The debate divided nations. Schools began neuroadaptive, learning for children, downloading new languages and instruments directly into sensory networks. Corporations created focus programs that restructured workers' motivation patterns. But for every success, there was a whisper of fear. What if the mind became too malleable, too easily shaped by power? The boy who remembered everything. Amid the noise, a boy named Eli emerged. He was part of the first generation born under full neural optimization. At age 10, Eli spoke 12 languages, played 5 instruments, and could recall entire books word for word. But there was something missing. He couldn't feel joy. He couldn't cry. His mother once said, "It's like raising a mind without a soul." When Lyra met Eli, she realized they had gone too far. The brain had become a tool, but the heart, the emotions, the mystery of being human were fading. Neuroplasticity, once a path to healing, was now reshaping identity itself. The reset Lyra went into hiding. She shut down the Neural Genesis servers and took Eli with her to a small cabin overlooking what used to be Tokyo Bay. There she began a quiet experiment. No machines, no AI, just nature, music, and human connection. For the first time, Eli experienced the raw neuroplasticity of life itself, the kind that doesn't come from stimulation or technology, but from meaning, laughter, and pain. He began to feel. He began to dream. Lyra recorded her findings in what would later be known as the Soul Circuits Journal. She wrote, "We don't need to engineer plasticity. We need to remember how to live it. The new era decades later, society found balance. Technology was no longer the master of the mind. It became the assistant. People learned to combine digital rewiring with emotional rewiring. Schools taught not only math and science, but mindfulness and empathy as pathways to reshape the brain. The elderly danced again. Children learned resilience, and trauma survivors rediscovered trust, not through machines, but through connection. It became clear that neuroplasticity was never meant to replace humanity. It was meant to amplify it. The legacy of neuroplasticity, centuries later, a holographic archive preserved Lyra's words, "The brain is not a machine, it is a garden. And every thought, every feeling, every act of kindness plants something new." The story of neuroplasticity wasn't about control. It was about creation, the quiet revolution happening in every human mind, every single day. You see, the greatest discovery wasn't how to rewire neurons. It was realizing that we've been doing it all along. Every time you forgive, every time you learn, every time you choose love over fear, your brain rewires itself. And that, more than any machine, is the future of humanity. If this story made you pause, imagine, or wonder, then your brain has already changed just a little. That's the magic of neuroplasticity, because the future isn't written in code. It's written in the connections between our neurons. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that explore the mysteries of the human mind and the infinite potential that lies within all of us.